What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Davin Bellamy channel, and we are off the clock, man. We got some good topics for you guys tonight. Today, actually, the Dawgs are they won the SC championship, so we can, before the game, it was all do we want to play in it, boom, boom, boom. Okay, everyone named the negatives about what could happen. Well, let's talk about the positive. The positives happened. No big time, injuries, and we put a dominant performance up. And I guarantee you that the confidence of the Dawgs team now will give you some momentum for this playoff run. We'll get into the playoff bracket a little later, but let's just talk about the game last night. The first episode of, Off the Clock, and even the most recent one with DeAndre Baker, we gave you keys to victory. And we just chopped it up with you for about 45 minutes on why we thought, this game would be different this time. One of the things that DeAndre Baker named, he was 3 for 3. He said the Dawgs had to be better on third down. First game, Tyler Simpson started off in the first half 9 for 9. And like I said, that is an outlier. If a quarterback can continue to sometimes players play out of their mind. Sometimes you just have them games where you just play out of your mind. Tyler Simpson did that week 4, went 9 for 9 against a Kirby Smart, Glenn Schumann-led defense. Can you do that again? If you can, then you prove to not only us, but the scouts that you're a top 10 pick. Going 9 for 9 on Kirby Smart on third down back-to-back game is very tough. So very different. He kind of got back to the regression of the mean. They started off 1 for 5 on third down to balance out that 9 for 9 start in week 4. And when we look at the quarterback position, Gunner was 20 for 26 for 156 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like we've been saying, if you've been watching this channel, very Jalen Hurts-like. 156 yards, 20 for 26, probably at a 70% clip with the data. This is a guy who took what the defense gave him, didn't make any mistakes, used his legs when he needed to. Versus another quarterback who was 19 for 39. That's below 60%, 212 yards, 1 touchdown, 1, interception. This is a guy who, played out of his mind week 4, but, he reverted back to the average. Bama hasn't been playing good this year. Now let's look at the whole, right? We look at the rushing yards. Georgia rushed for north of 140 yards. I knew that would be a key to victory just because Bama allowed 150 yards last week against, Auburn. And Georgia is the most physical, best running team in college football, so I knew we would break their threshold, also. But when we look at this defense, when you look at a young defense in week 4, right, you got Dalen Everett, one side is locked down. You got Ellis Robinson on the other side, a young guy week 4. Still trying to figure the game out, still trying to get adjusted to the speed of the game. Even with your D-line, you got guys trying to figure it out. You got young guys playing. When you start getting to week 13, postseason play, those guys are now a grade above. You've heard that on this show a lot of times. By the time you're 13 games in, that's a lot of practices, that's a lot of game reps. The speed of the game has slowed down to now where you are a grade above. And we saw last night that wasn't the same Ellis Robinson that was getting beat week 4, and that wasn't the same D-line. Gabe Harris has came along, Quentin Johnson has came along, and even with the absence of CJ, Allen, we also saw younger guys start to step up in those spots. So the Dawgs played well last night, which leads me to, all the dialogue about this new college football and trying to find a strategic way to success. Let's not go to the SEC championship game, and because we're already this. You got in this transfer portal, you got so many new kids. One, you're playing Bama, who Coach Smart already said. They asked everybody to stand up in the room to say if you've been Bama, and no one stood up. So now you got that thing. These guys are gladiators, right? I've never beat my foe. I want to be the one to do it. I want to be the David versus Goliath, the way the narrative was around this game. Zachariah Branch came from USC, close thing he got to an SEC championship game was watching it on TV. McCray, close thing he got watching on TV. Noah Thomas, close thing he got was to watching it on TV. Even the guys that was there, you don't think this SEC championship was important to them? Even in this new college football, there is no easy way to get to where you're trying to get to. You play the games that's on the schedule. And if you win out, you deserve a break. These guys right now, they won't play another football game till 4 weeks from now. You tip your hat off, and you put your construction hat on your hat hanger when you walk in the house. You take your work boots off, you get you a nice beer, you sit on the couch. You deserve your time off. You are the last team standing in the SEC. That means something. And if you don't think that I know what I'm talking about, I've won one of these. Did you watch the confetti fall? I didn't have to be there to know that families came on the field to take pictures. Coaches that probably won't be there next year taking pictures to capture this moment. The SEC championship game will never lose value, and this is a game you always want to be in if you have the opportunity. If you don't take my word for it, let's look at the reaction. You don't think it don't mean nothing? Look at him. You don't think it means something? You don't think this game means something? You don't think they know the whole world watching? You don't think they grew up watching this game when they were 7 years old, 8 years old, dreaming by the time I would love to play in this game? Look at Zachariah Branch. Who watching the Pac-10 championship game? Do they even have one?
It's about our team tonight. These guys have been told and touted, and since that last game, they beat this team. Our team was really physical tonight, played an excellent game, really proud of them, and proud of these Georgia fans, man.
You felt like this team could accomplish, but you knew that there was some growing up that had to happen. How would you describe the way that they have responded throughout this season?
They've responded in the face of so much adversity, so much criticism, and they just kept getting better and better. A couple of them just told me they want to go back and practice tonight. They said they want to get out there tonight and get a play on Tuesday when we get back home. That's the kind of mentality this team has. They want to practice some more. They want to practice some more. They love contact, and we love them.
Look, man, that's a lot of people thought he probably was joking. We playing the Rose Bowl, West Coast time, triple overtime game. That game probably ends about 11:30, 12 o'clock California time. We get on the red eye. We flying back. We losing hours as we fly back to, Athens. Back then, you didn't have a week off for the national championship. That championship was that Saturday. We landed. We got off. We got a couple hours of sleep. Practice still at the same time, full pads. And that's when you saw the video clip. He started practice over because guys were tired, jet lag from the red eye, 4-hour different, full pad practice. Energy wasn't the same. So the clip where he says, I want you to eat, I want you to eat.
It's time to go. All I want to do is eat. I want you to eat. I want you to eat. I want you to want this. Do you want it? Do you want it? Show me.
That was my senior year. He was just telling us, I know you guys are tired mentally and physically, but this is what it's going to take to beat this team this weekend, national championship. He understood what it took to get there. This clip right here is the epitome of that. So what, we just won. We already thinking about, let's go back. Let's have a Buddy Tuesday practice. Let's go back. Let's have a Buddy Tuesday practice. Like the great Phil Jackson say, you're only successful when doing a successful act. At this moment, when the Dawgs are celebrating, they're successful. They did a successful act. In a couple more hours, that act will be in the past. You're not successful no more. Don't live off that. It's time to look ahead. Love the interview for the coach. That is epitome of how this Georgia team culture and mentality is. That's going to lead us right into the bracket. The brackets just dropped. I thought Georgia would move to number 2. They kept Ohio State there. I could see that well-balanced game last night. Could have went either way. Like we said on the team meeting a lot of times, in order to go further, you gotta be able to get 4th and 1s in goal line situations. We were specifically talking about in the SEC. In order to be successful in the SEC, this rhetoric came up because week 4, Bama not taking the points. And what did Davin say that went against the grain about what majority of Georgia was saying? Well, you should have took the points. And I said, no. In week 4, you instill in these young puppies that are 10 weeks old. I want to instill to you that I will go for it on 4th and 1. I want to see if you will bite. I want to see if you will fight. I want to see if an intruder comes in as a puppy, are you going to at least try to defend me? When I do that, I come back week 13 through all that training, all that preparation. That was week 13. You're not 10 weeks old no more. You're an adult dog. Now you're biting. Now you're getting those 4th and 1s. Last night, Ohio State couldn't get them. Indiana stopped them in the goal line twice for 4th and 1. What does that tell me? It's a difference. We told you here week 4 Georgia was the best team in college football. We told you 4 weeks ago Georgia was the best team in college football. Excuse me. I told you that before the media got on the train, because when you start talking about football in December, football in January late, a lot of teams get bored with the mundane. Can you stop downstairs hut, hand it off? Can you stop downstairs hut, inside zone? Last night, Indiana showed they could. Ohio State showed that they don't have the grit inside to get 1 yard. When you start talking about the final 12 team, the college football bracket, it's a game of inches. Can you get 1 yard? They were not able to do it. Indiana deserves to be the number 1 spot. JMU and Tulane will be discussed a lot. We could say Texas could have been there, but the world has seen Texas and Ole Miss. Texas and Oregon could have been good, but Texas beat Texas A&M, who was the number 1 team in the country at the time 2 weeks ago. They had an argument. We have to keep it fair, right? We know the SEC is the hardest conference. We know the Big Ten is the second. Miami is built like an SEC team, so they fit right into this competitive football. But you also got to set up the opportunity for Cinderella stories. In a teams like Tulane and JMU went out, you got to give them an opportunity to have a Cinderella story. When we look at Alabama, Kirby Smart said something very smart, something that clicked. Georgia lost this game 2 years ago and dropped out of the college football playoffs. I think the college football committee learned from this. And understand you can't punish a team for making it to their conference championship, especially when we're talking about a conference like the SEC. At the end of the day, Alabama was in the SEC championship game. They were one of the last 2 standing in the Royal Rumble. They deserve to be in the playoff just because of that. And they ran into the hottest team in college football, like I've been telling y'all. These guys are the hottest team in college football. This is a nice bracket. I think it's the best bracket that we've seen so far in this college football playoffs. A lot of competitive games. I think also the committee last year learned from week 1 games being such blowouts. Bad for ratings, bad for the money. Tulane might get Ole Miss. First half cover spread for sure. I don't know if what's the coach name? Golden. I don't think Golden is an offensive wizard enough to cover up the flaws of an Ole Miss offense. I think Lane Kiffin covered up the flaws of an Ole Miss offense with his wizardry, magician mindset when it comes to offense. Look for Tulane to be in an upset. First half spread for sure. Texas A&M Miami is going to be a good one. Can Carson Beck handle Texas A&M pass rush? We'll see. Texas A&M has the best pass rush. Can Marcel Reed hold up against Miami pass rush. When I look at Texas A&M and Miami, I think this is going to be a game of the best pass rushers. Both teams have amazing D-lines with first-round defensive ends on the edge. It's going to be a defensive game more than you think. Is Carson Beck ready for the moment? I think Oregon hands JMU easily. I think you're looking at an Ole Miss Georgia matchup. I think you're looking at I trust Marcel Reed more than Carson Beck because a dual threat quarterback in one game could kill you. If Marcel Reed decide to turn into Michael Vick overnight and rush for 150 yards, that could just tear that game up and negate the pass rush. I'm going Texas A&M, Ohio State. I'm going Ole Miss, Georgia. Oklahoma has a great defense. Alabama lost to Auburn, then lost to Georgia. They just been playing a bad stretch of football. I think teams have figured out Kalen DeBoer offense. I like Oklahoma to advance. I like Oregon to advance. And Georgia is on the nice side of the bracket. I don't think any of these teams physically, after what I've seen out of Ohio State last night, can touch Georgia when we come inside the trenches.
I want to give all the glory to God. We were never supposed to be in this position, but by the glory of God, the great coaches, great teammates, everyone we have around us, we were able to pull this off. Whoever thought the Hoosiers would be here, but now the Hoosiers are flipping champs. Let's go.
I like that kid right there, man. That kid right there, man, first of all, what he did in such a world that we living in now is he thought God. So, and then this kid is just a baller. I think, first of all, let's give a shout out to DeAndre Baker. DeAndre Baker said that this was going to be a close game and that Indiana was going to upset the world. I should have took his word because I put my money on Ohio State, and I even took some points. Ohio State, 1.5. We just lost the game. I should listen to D-Bake. D-Bake said off the clock last Friday that Indiana has a good defense and they can slow down Jeremiah Smith, and they did that. He had two tough catches, one over the top, but other than that, they bracketed him. I always had somebody over the top and always had somebody underneath and forced the other guys to beat him. But that interview right there just shows that in this world in this new college football of how much can I pay to get the best roster. What's his name? Mendoza, the head coach. Curtis Maggette. Curtis Maggette played for the Clippers back in the day. Signetti. Signetti came from that Alabama tree. He know how to build a team. What you're seeing right now in this NIL era, pay for play, you're still seeing the best team win, not the best product. You pay for a product, you build a team, you build a culture, you pay for a product, you pay for NIL, you pay for players. It's not a culture, it's not a team, it's a product. Last night you saw the perfect example of, just a better team. And then when you got a quarterback like that, man, just that interview shows, we would love to play for him. I think he's the Heisman front runner right now. This takes nothing away from him. I just think this year no one has solidified themselves for the Heisman. John Mateer was on pace but broke his hand. But, Johnny Manziel said something that, I think may have been taken out of context, which is kind of true. The commentary last night is, and this was Johnny Manziel's tweet, as you can see on the screen, was we're calling fade balls Heisman moments now. And that's just where this year's Heisman race is. No one's playing the best. But this guy may do it. Indiana has proven me wrong once again, and I'm done betting against them. I can tell you that right now. I'm done betting against Indiana. I think they're the real deal. All right, y'all. Yeah, man, and that's pretty much it, man. We want to tap in with you guys right now. A little brief moment off the clock before the team runs in and we jump into the team meeting. I kind of just looking around the league and seeing what I want to tap in with. The team should be here in about 5 minutes, and we're finna jump right into the team meeting, baby. Make sure you guys take the time out, like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and also comment things that you would want to hear and more content in the future. And once again, we appreciate you guys for rocking with us on this beautiful Sunday. Thank you, God, and thank you to our troops. Team meeting episode 12 up next.